Here's Greg Kukul to give some bad advice about how to talk to atheists.
Yeah, I had a question.
Okay.
So I've got 6 friends who are all atheists. They're all they're my closest friends. They're pretty militant atheists, and they have been for a few years. They think Christianity is dumb. They think it's not logical, and I think part of that's because of the colleges they went to and what they've been exposed to, etc. And I'm trying to see the best approach I can take to start witnessing to them and evangelizing to them.
What exactly does this guy mean by militant atheists? Do they have their own militias? And what exactly does he expect to achieve by witnessing and evangelizing to them? I doubt he will be able to get his friends to worship Jesus.
I'm newer to apologetics, and I love it so far.
Oh, good.
I've got your books, Frank Turek's, Lee Strobel, J. Warner Wallace, pretty much all the big names, which are all awesome individuals, and I love their books so far. I'm just trying to determine what's the best approach.
Well,
should I wait until I have pretty much every single argument down really well? And should I do it one friend at a time, one-on-one? I'm not sure where to start.
I'm curious about what this dude's exact goal is. Does he expect to convert his friends to Christianity using arguments? I really don't think that's going to work. Even if you could convince me that the Christian God exists and that Jesus died for our sins, whatever either of those things are even supposed to mean, I still would not be a Christian. I still would not worship Jesus because what the Bible says Jesus stands for is intolerable to my conscience. Religion is not merely a matter of belief, it's also a matter of values, and my ultimate values are distinct from my beliefs.
Okay, those are all great questions. First of all, I tip my hat to you. You have a bunch of atheist friends. You have what do they call it, a target-rich environment there, and so that's great. And I hope that the way that you're comporting yourself and living your life, and I'm pretty confident of this, is going to be noble and commend Christianity to them, so you're not sending out any negative signals. But
I can't say for sure what this dude's values are, but any Christian who sees homosexuality or being transgender as a sin is going to send intolerably negative signals to me. Any God who recommends such values is not a God I could possibly worship, even if someone managed to convince me of his existence.
Well, what I'm going to be suggesting to you is a tactical approach, okay? And this is always the best way to start any conversation with people who are hostile in terms of their ideology. They may be very nice to you, but and as friends, but still their ideas are hostile, okay? And to your ideas, or they are hostile to your ideas, whatever.
Chances are my conscience is going to be hostile to a Christian apologist's ideas.
And that
Right.
there's a tremendous amount of safety in questions. And this specific challenge, when atheists say that Christians are stupid or it's irrational, this is one that I've faced before. And there's a very simple question to ask at this point. And maybe you have asked it and they've responded. I'd like to hear what they had to say. But lots of people who are atheists think that the atheists are the smart guys. In fact, one famous atheist, Daniel Dennett, refers to atheists as the brights, like the brights, the smart people, right?
Sure, but Dan Dennett has also said that if folks who believe in the supernatural find that label to be too self-congratulatory, then those folks can call themselves the supers. We'll call ourselves the brights, and you guys can call yourselves the supers. That way we both have flattering titles.
Kind of self-serving, it
Right.
seems to me, and the religious people are the dim bulbs, kind of thing. All right, fine.
No, that is a straw man of what Dennett said. He never once suggested that folks who believe in the supernatural should be called the dim bulbs. He explicitly recommended that you call yourselves the supers if you want to engage in titular self-aggrandizement.
Tell me, this is the question I would ask: what is dumb or irrational about Christianity?
Well, the first problem I have with Christianity is that it affirms the existence of a God which, according to theologians and apologists, is a timeless, spaceless, disembodied mind. Such an entity seems nonsensical to me. It seems self-contradictory. I have no idea what such a thing is even supposed to be. That's the biggest reason why I see Christianity as irrational.
What is dumb or irrational about Christianity? And now you want specifics. You want them to spell it out. And this is just an example of the first Columbo question. What do you mean by that? It's just a variation. Okay? So if you were to say
Right.
to your friends, Ross, what is what is stupid, I guess is the word they use. Oh, they use the S word. Oh, naughty, naughty. What is stupid
Yeah.
about Christianity? What do you think they'd say?
They'd probably just say, "Oh, look at all the evil in the world. Like God can't, or a man can't walk on water." Just kind of the typical slogany atheistic responses, basically.
Okay, let's just take one at a time. Okay. According to the Christian worldview, it's a magical world.
If you were trying to rebut the accusation that Christianity is irrational, I doubt that you are going to convince many atheists that this is not the case by saying that the Christian worldview is magical. To say that the world is magical seems very much to me like saying that it is nonsensical. It seems to mean that we live in a world in which anything can happen at any moment. That is clearly not the world which we actually observe.
Okay? If God
Right.
exists, if there is a God, wouldn't something like that be possible?
Yes, that's precisely why the world we observe, which has consistent physical laws, is not consistent with the idea that an all-powerful God exists. If such a God exists, then there can be no consistent physical laws.
Walking on water.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course it would be possible. Okay, so the real question is whether there's a God or not. Okay, so now what you've done is you've deflected, parried, that was the word I was looking for with the other caller, with the sword. You parry the condescension. Oh, people walk on water. Nobody can do that. Well, no, not in your world. But in God's world, yes, they could.
So effectively, Greg is arguing that you should rebut any claim that an event described in the Bible is nonsensical by saying, well, as a Christian, I live in a nonsensical world. Wow, how convincing. Even if there is a God, it still seems quite clear that miracles are pretty rare, and that false testimony is pretty common. This is especially the case when that testimony floated around for decades before anyone wrote it down, which is the case with respect to stories about the resurrection and other feats purported to have been performed by Jesus. So even if there is a God who performs miracles, it still seems far more likely that the descriptions of those miracles are mistaken, or that they are lies, or they are delusions, or some combination thereof, than it is that they are actual miracles. To give a more recent example, Sathya Sai Baba was a Hindu mystic and guru to whom many more miracles have been attributed than those that have been attributed to Jesus. He also just died 11 years ago. There are first-hand eyewitnesses to his purported miracles who are still alive today. With respect to any standard by which testimonial evidence is judged, the testimonies about the miracles of Sathya Sai Baba are vastly superior in credibility than the testimonies about the miracles of Jesus. Christians, however, do not find them convincing because Sathya Sai Baba is not a Christian. The testimonies about Jesus' miracles are mostly anonymous. The testimonies about Sai Baba's miracles are not. The testimonies about Jesus' miracles floated around orally for years before being recorded. The testimonies about Sai Baba's miracles were recorded in his lifetime. If the testimonies about Jesus' miracles meet the Christian standard of credibility, then the testimonies about Sai Baba's ought to as well.
Okay, now the question is, which world is the true world? So now you've moved it to a different discussion that's more fruitful, whether or not God exists. Okay, so you've moved the issue to something substantive. Okay, now they also raise the issue about the question of evil. Okay, now I've just been working on this the last few days in this book I'm writing. So the question now, here's the question: they think the problem of evil is a problem for Christians. It is not. It's a problem for the atheist.
Since I don't believe in evil, how is it a problem for me?
And I'll see if I can show you this very quickly, because the question I'm going to ask is, when they say the problem of evil, so you believe there's real evil in the world?
Nope, I sure don't.
Yes, I do, obviously. They're going to say, okay.
Nope, that's not what I would say at all. In fact, I would say the exact opposite.
Now, the next question is really important. Are you saying that there's evil out there, that things people do are actually evil? Or are you just saying there are things that you don't like?
I would never say that there are things that are actually evil, if by that you mean objectively bad. I don't think any such idea makes any sense whatsoever. However, I'd go further than to say there are things that I don't like. Rather, I'd say there are things I cannot tolerate.
Now, Ross, that's the difference between objective evil and or morality and subjective morality or relativism. Okay, you just want to get clear. All we're doing is getting clear on their idea. Do you mean think there are really, real, actual evil things in the world?
Nope. Not only do I not believe in any such things, I cannot even conceive of any such things. I have no idea what objective evil could ever even possibly mean. In fact, even if there is a God, I could never conceive of such a thing, because even if there is a God who dictates what is right and wrong, that still would not be objective, because there is no objective, non-circular reason why I ought to do what God says.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Now, when people raise the problem of evil, they actually usually mean there's evil in the world, okay? Even the atheist says that. Look at those things. Look at the shootings. Look at this. Look at all the genocide. Look at all that stuff. Look at all that bad stuff. How could God allow all of that? Okay.
Right.
Okay, so...
The question of how a loving God could allow that is different from the question of whether there is objective evil. If there is a God, then that God is a subject, not an object. A subject is any conscious entity. Therefore, even if there is a God who dictates morality, that morality is still subjective. Also, if there is a God who both loves us and is all-powerful, as Christianity teaches, then such a God could never allow suffering. Because to love someone is to be intolerant of them experiencing any unnecessary suffering. And to be all-powerful means having the power to eliminate any and all suffering. A world in which there is suffering is therefore a world in which there can be no being which is both all-powerful and all-loving.
Fine, let's say, okay, this is another move here at this point. Now that you've clarified that they believe in objective evil, those things are actually bad. Okay, fine.
I don't believe in objective evil, though. Even if there is a God, there is still no objective, non-circular reason why I ought to do what he says to do.
So you're an atheist, right? So notice I'm role-playing here. I'm role-playing both sides for the sake of time.
Yep.
So you're an atheist. Yeah, right. So let's just say there is no God. Okay. Are those evil things still happening?
There are things happening which my conscience cannot tolerate, if that's what you mean.
All this stuff you just described, all these school shootings and the genocide and all these rapes and all that stuff, it still happens, right? Yeah. Okay, so there's no God, but all these evil things are happening. Explain to me how those things can be evil if there is no God.
They're not in any objective sense, and as I said, nothing is objectively evil even if there is a God. What they are, though, is intolerable to my conscience, and that's the case whether there is a God or not.
That's the question. Explain to me how those things can be evil in the way you're talking about them if there is no God. Now, they might say, wait, I don't get what you're after. Okay, wait a minute. You said these things are evil, right? Yeah. That means they broke a rule. They shouldn't have done what they did. There's some rule of goodness that they didn't abide by. They broke a law. That's what it means to be evil, right? Yes. Okay, so you're an atheist. Tell me where those laws come from.
The rules about what is or is not tolerable to my conscience come from my conscience. Of course, an apologist might point out that other people may have different consciences which do tolerate such behavior, but so what? That is irrelevant to the issue of whether I tolerate them. That's the case whether there is a God or not, so what difference could a God's existence possibly make with respect to my behavior?
To everyone who helps me out on Patreon, you're a big help. Thanks so much.